Forbes India presents Crypto Made Easy, powered by CoinDCX.
Hello and welcome to the show Crypto Made Easy, brought to you by Forbes India, powered by CoinDCX. I'm your host, Paramita Chatterjee. Our theme of discussion today on the show is Web3 startup industry of India, enormous opportunities to accelerate its growth. And to discuss the opportunities that Web3 provides in terms of investments, we have with us a very special guest on the show, none other than Rohit Jain, who's the managing director of CoinDCX Ventures. Now, Rohit has extensive experience as an investor, advisor, and entrepreneur in finance, technology, entertainment, and the real estate space. He has also founded and mentored several startups. Aside from mentoring startups and founding them, he has worked with organizations like Fundamentum, Myntra, McKinsey and Company, to name a few. Now, Rohit is a strong believer in the immense potential of blockchain and is committed to helping entrepreneurs and startups across the globe to build, grow, and revolutionize this industry. Rohit has done his BTech from IIT Guwahati, and he also holds an MBA from Harvard Business School. Rohit, it's a privilege to have you with us on the show as you're leading the charge, so to speak, in terms of yet another revolution in the industry, which is Web3. Now, Web3 is something we all like to talk about, but perhaps very few of us really understand the potential of it. Honestly, Web3 investments are slowly becoming a newest sort of hype in terms of a potential for investments by Indian investors. Why do you think that is so? And which are the top sectors in Web3 which are attracting more investors than others?
Paramita, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. In terms of, the question, why is India becoming such a hotbed of Web3 investing? The thought there is that India is actually at a very unique vantage point when it comes to Web3, and for two primary reasons. One, India has the largest retail crypto base in the world of any other country. And two, India has amongst the largest number of Web3 developers versus any other country in the world. And the combination of these two things give India a very unique vantage point in the global Web3 landscape. My personal belief is we'll see more unicorns come out of India in the Web3 space than we saw in the Web2 space, even though India has done a phenomenal job in the Web2 space. So, a combination of these factors give India a very unique vantage point, which is why you see a lot of very valuable companies, very interesting startups being built out of India in the Web3 space, and there's strong investor interest in this region as well.
Right. So slice and dice that for us a little bit more, Rohit, because, in terms of the venture capital industry itself, we understand that almost $25 billion have been poured into crypto investments. Now, when it comes to Web3, which particular areas are really seeing some of that money coming in?
In Web3, so eventually I think Web3 is going to touch pretty much every element of our lives. And we think it's going to be a combination of Web2, Web3. There'll be some use cases which will fundamentally provide a better experience by being built in a centralized Web2 manner. There are other experiences and other products which will fundamentally provide a significantly better customer experience by being built in a decentralized manner. So eventually, I think it'll be a combination of Web2, Web3. But if we talk about current product market fit, which use cases have gotten to current product market fit and which use cases are attracting the most number of entrepreneurs, users, investors, I'd say there are 3 or 4 areas. I think the 2 or 3 areas that have gotten to product market fit. One is, of course, DeFi, which is decentralized finance. And there, within decentralized finance, there are multiple use cases. There are decentralized exchanges, decentralized lending, borrowing, asset management. The possibilities there are just infinite. This essentially Web3 and blockchain allows you the ability to program money, the ability to program incentives, and the kind of creativity that people are kind of showing in building, businesses and protocols on blockchain and the DeFi space is just phenomenal. The second use case I would say is GameFi. That's getting to some initial product market fit. 2022 saw some ups and downs in the GameFi space, but I think some really valuable use cases are being built in the GameFi space today. NFT too saw its ups and downs. There are some use cases which haven't worked as well. There are other use cases which have worked quite well. I would say NFTs have gotten to initial product market fit, but as an underlying technology, as a construct, it's extremely powerful, and we'll see a lot more innovation in that space. I'd say, from a application layer, those are probably three broad areas where we've gotten to strong product market fit. And then there is a whole infrastructure layer, which includes all your L1, L2 blockchains. It includes all the other components that are required to enable this entire ecosystem. Things like node operators, Oracle providers, all sorts of developer toolkits, analytics, etc., etc. So the entire infra layer is, being built up very aggressively.
As you said, it's a whole different world. In fact, you mentioned the word decentralization a number of times. Do you think that's what is a key differentiating factor, and also makes perhaps Web3 more attractive and gives rise to the potential of further unicorns than, say, what we saw in Web2? In that sense, do you think there's far more potential there?
I think the potential, it's certainly a fairly revolutionary technology. Blockchain as an underlying tech, or distributed ledger technology as an underlying tech, is a revolutionary technology. There are multiple components of it which make it revolutionary in essence. Decentralization is one of them. Composability is another one of them. Trustless, I think, is a very important element, and all three of them go hand in hand. They're not completely mutually exclusive. In some ways, they kind of they're interweaved and they work together. But all of these things, actually, what it enables is that there are some applications, I think, which will fundamentally provide a 10x better experience by being built in a decentralized, trustless manner versus being operated in a centralized manner. And those use cases you'll start seeing come up in the Web3 space. I don't think it's fair, nor do I think it's required to compare Web2 and Web3. I think Web2 is extremely valuable, of course, right? And Web3 is also extremely valuable. What the eventual end state will be, what will be the mix of Web2 versus Web3, what applications will do better in Web2, what will do better in Web3 is anyone's guess. But our view is that both of them are going to coexist, and some things will do better in Web3 models, some of them will do better in Web3 models.
Very interesting. So the two will actually coexist. Now, tell us a little bit in terms of the talent pool that exists and that's likely to grow, because there are some numbers being thrown out there that it's likely to create 8 million jobs, for instance, by 2030. You said India is already a hotbed for developers when it comes to Web3. So do you think, are you foreseeing also or already seeing some of that talent drift into Web3, and what are going to be those key areas where we are going to see a lot of requirement for talent as well?
No, I think talent is like I said, India is at a very unique vantage point when it comes to Web3 talent. And if you really think about it, if you think about how the Web2 kind of software talent developed in India in the early 2000s, back then the Indian digital economy, domestic digital economy wasn't as strong. There wasn't as much demand for Indian software engineers for the domestic market, which is why the Indian Web2 kind of software talent pool had a little bit more of a services mindset. They were servicing global economies, global companies who were building even in the early 2000s. The Web3 software developer looks slightly different. I think we'll see more builders coming out of India in the Web3 space than we even saw in the Web2 space. Again, like I said, even though we've done a phenomenal job in Web2. So it kind of gives India a fairly unique vantage point. India is probably going to be one of the hotbeds of Web3 dev talent for the world.
Startups is something that you look at particularly closely, having mentored and founded so many of them. When it comes to startups within the Web3 industry space, I mean, what do you think are those opportunities there? We've been witnessing incredible growth. What do you think are the opportunities which can actually further accelerate this growth?
The way Web3 is designed right now, it really works for a niche group of people. A lot of startups are working towards bringing the masses into Web3. And the way masses will come into Web3 is by actually abstracting the Web3 complexities away from them. People shouldn't have to know. In Web2, we don't care about what protocol, what router our TCP/IP packets are being routed to. Why should we worry about those things in the Web3 space? So I think with simplification of Web3 and abstracting away some of that complexity, the masses will come into Web3 as users. When the masses come in, I think that will just accelerate all of this innovation and growth significantly. It'll put it on hyperdrive. So I think that is going to be possibly the biggest kind of accelerant to this space. And I do think that A lot of things are in place. I do think we're going to see the masses, the initial surge of the masses coming in, even in the year 2023. And there are very specific reasons why I think that. But I do see that happening in the year 2023. I think that's going to be the biggest driver of growth. I think regulatory clarity, the regulator across the world is moving fast to get more regulatory clarity around this. And, with increasing regulatory clarity, it gives entrepreneurs a little bit more comfort in terms of what they can build, what they can't build. And it just accelerates innovation a little bit more. So I think a combination of these two things will certainly, propel growth in the space.
That's good to know, because in the light of the fact that one is hoping for more regulatory clarity and simplification as well, what about CoinDCX? I mean, what's in the pipeline for your company, and what can we expect to see from it when it comes to areas of Web3 investment and growth?
Sure. As far as CoinDCX Ventures is concerned, we are still very, very bullish in terms of Web3 investing. We are fairly aggressively looking at opportunities. We think some of the signal noise ratio has moved in the favor of signal more than noise. Some of the noise has died down in the industry. Valuations have become a lot more reasonable. Entrepreneurs have become more kind of reasonable in terms of their valuation expectations. And, people who are kind of tourists in the space have kind of taken a step back because raising capital isn't as easy anymore. And really the committed builders are in the space. So we are seeing very, very strong entrepreneurs who are committed to the space, doing the right thing, solving difficult and important problems. We're seeing a ton of those opportunities, which is why we continue to aggress fairly aggressively. People think that sectors like DeFi or even DEXs, for example, which is one of the oldest use cases in Web3 now, are fairly, it's a fairly crowded market, but we're seeing so much innovation and in an industry that people thought was commoditized and overcrowded. So we're looking at opportunities in DEXs. There is a ton of work happening in security. There is a ton of work happening on the infrastructure side, especially with regards to infrastructure that will be required to support scale. When the masses come in and protocols get to the next level of scale, all sorts of infrastructural components will need to be built out to support that scale. So we're seeing opportunities across the board in Web3. And even in this bear market, there's a very common saying in the Web3 space: we'll build our way out of it. And it's a cliche, but I think it's a cliche for a reason.
And we definitely want to see you and the industry build their way out of this and look at a much more perhaps vibrant 2023 and now that the dust is settling. On that note, thank you so much, Rohit, for joining us on this very special discussion. Rohit Jain there, Managing Director of CoinDCX Ventures, discussing with us the potential of Web3 industry, particularly in India. And thank you so much for joining us for this special discussion on Crypto Made Easy, brought to you by Forbes India, powered by CoinDCX.
Forbes India presents Crypto Made Easy, powered by CoinDCX.
Crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions.